It's the halfway point of the Hi-Tech Oils Speed Week E-Series, and the title chase is extremely close. Kenny Economos delivered a masterclass performance at the opening round at Spa.
Kenny Economos is going to open his account with a win in race number 1 of season 3.
Then Kendon McDonald put forward his title aspirations with a stellar performance last time out at Mount Panorama. McDonald conquers the mountain. Terrific drive under real pressure the whole way through. Just 1 point separates the pair in this third season of the competition as our sim racers get set to tackle the sweeping hillside course that is California's Laguna Seca for round 3. There's $5,000 and a series trophy waiting in the wings, but who's hungry enough to take home the top prize?
Welcome to round 3 of the Hi-Tech Oils Speed Week E-Series, powered by Gran Turismo Sport and PlayStation 4. Just 1 point separates championship leader Kenny Economos and second place Keaton McDonald. There is everything to play for as we head to the legendary Laguna Seca. Let's meet our drivers.
The world-famous Mountain Panorama was tremendous to visit there for round number 2 of the Speed Week E-Series. Keaton McDonald was very strong at this particular round, and a point of the championship, I guess you would say, Richard Craill, that really worked in his favour. Yeah, it certainly did, but once again, Kenny Economos was so good as well, and the consistency that he showed in race 1, he picked up at race 2. But how good Bathurst, by the way? I know we say it with regularity every year, but it doesn't matter what you take motor racing there. The competition is always incredibly intense. Simon Bishop, I thought, was really good at this round 2. The Shannon's car just accumulating, isn't he? Every race he goes in, finds himself towards the podium, if not on it. A few drivers going down Conrod Straight at particular points, in fact, using the tow to sometimes save a little bit of fuel. Therefore, ultimately later on tyres as well. We saw the pit stop strategies working out as well. And a point of the series, I guess you would say, where tyre life was critical because the tyre wear was times 10, the most that we saw anywhere in the championship. Yeah,
and that played a big role in the strategies and the way they unfolded with Key, but mainly it was just the warring that Bathurst tends to throw up. Terrific drive, the Hi-Tech Oils driver though, the whole way through in race 1 in stunning conditions on the mountain. Was a big win and critical towards this championship fight that's evolving between himself and Kenny Economos. But then, Brian, we just got some mayhem because we went reverse grid racing on the mountain.
Reverse grid racing at Mount Panorama always throws up chaos, doesn't it? We saw that once again, so much so we had carnage up towards the front, just in front of our leaders as well. Somehow they sorted themselves out, but only just. It's not often that you see 2 cars going side by side on the way to Forest Elbow. Make that even 3 wide at particular points as well. But this was a point in the race where we really did see a lot of drivers just sitting pretty, waiting for the right opportunity, and of course for the pit stops to roll out as well.
Yeah, and the other thing was that our key title contenders were staying out of massive drama. They were making sure they were in a nice clean position. Jake Burton not so much, had a drama up at Griffin's Bend, passing it the king. I don't care if it's GT Sport or in real life, but just don't do that and come out the other side, but managed to do so. Candonoli in pit lane, he was a regular top 5 or 6 competitor throughout the weekend at Mount Panorama as well. But gee, this was aggressive, hard racing, wasn't it? And you were just an inch away from having a pretty big accident at times, as we saw at the top of the mountain from that man, Candonoli.
Yep, got the KO Sport Porsche stuck there, unfortunately, at McPhillamy Park. And how's the battle that Kenny Economos had side by side underneath Tame? But at the end of it all, of course, once again, Matthew Allen, who's been pretty strong so far to this point, finally got his first race win of the season as well, of course, in the reverse grid race. Kenny Economos, though, leads the championship heading into round 3, albeit by just 1 single point in front of Keaton McDonald. Simon Bishop, a further 10 points back in position number 3 as well. We've got 25 points up for grabs for the next races, which is critical. But more importantly, Kenny Economos has had 5 extra bonus points so far this season, which has really helped him in gaining that championship lead. So interesting to see the championship points as we head towards qualifying now at Laguna Seca. Keeping in mind, you get those bonus points as well for claiming pole position. So actually, this is going to be very, very important, Richard Krull, as we move closer towards that championship finale.
You're right, Brian. Those pole position points could be critical to determining a championship this close. Laguna Seca, short lap, lots of technical slow speed corners and some mid-speed stuffers too. So maximising your corner exits is critical, and getting that drag race up the hill to the start-finish line will be very, very important. 1:19.62 for the Hi-Tech Oils car. But as always, qualifying was super, super tight. We saw it at Mount Panorama over a much longer lap, how close it was. But Adrian Gassardi, the PlayStation car, drove extremely well. It was a great lap time, 1:19.54. He got pole. He's talking to Charlie Bullock.
Adrian Gazzatti from Western Australia, congratulations. You are our round 3 race 1 pole sitter. It's a fantastic result.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. I was really happy with that lap. I've got a lot of quick guys behind me, so it's going to be hard to keep them behind me, but we'll see how we go.
You're so right. The racing is so tight, and Laguna Seca is such a fast track. What's your strategy and who you're looking out for?
Yeah, well, track position is key here, so just try and stay in front and hold the inside line, and yeah, we'll see how we go.
Well, congratulations, Adrian. All the best for the race.
Thanks, Charlie.
Great to see Adrian Gassardi there starting on pole. Not much in it was there. Keaton McDonald will start alongside him on the front row. Kenny Economos from position 3. Jake Burton, watch out for him in position number 4. Guy Barbera, Matthew Allen and Simon Bishop, maybe not great there in position number 7.
Candon Olean just outside the top 7. Solid job. Connor Healy, watch out for him. Adrian Holton as well. Jono Stankowski will be one to watch going from the back of the field. He's shown pace. It's been competitive, and the talk is already starting.
Cheers, let's start going. Let's do it.
Brian there, keen to go. They're fired up, ready for a start here at Laguna Seca.
Don't know how I'd be feeling in their shoes at the moment. Be quite nervous, particularly with championship now on the line as we edge closer towards the finale. Away we go, race number 1 at Laguna Seca, and it's going to be a tough run down here into the very tight hairpin, and an interesting start, you've got to say, from Economos. They're already looking to find a way down the inside here into turn number 1. We're looking at Simon Bishop there a bit further back. They're almost 3 wide, in fact, deep in the field, but so far so good as they snake their way through the first part of the lap.
Yeah, not a great start for the West Australian, who we saw qualify on pole position, the PlayStation car, but he's dropped back to 3rd, possibly 4th place actually, as they go into the right-hander and they start the climb up the hill. Jake Burton very, very wide on the exit, had a big slide, and they're gobbling each other up for position. The Gran Turismo car's there. Watch out for the Shannon's Insurance Porsche House, the squabbling on the opening lap, and all this is doing is allow Keating McDonald to pull away out in front.
Yeah, great start, wasn't it, from McDonald as we ride on board now the Fanatec Porsche with Allen as he heads up the hill, heading into the famous corkscrew section of the circuit here. Tough to get this part right as well, and almost making contact. In fact, does make contact with the car in front. He's also getting past underneath the inside as well. Typically, chaotic start here, and trying to stay out of trouble is going to be key.
Gassardi with a very big moment, Brian, on the exit of that amazing corner at the corkscrew. Had everything crossed up on cold tyres. Now, the tyre wear is accelerated in this version of the sim we're running, but it still takes time to get temperature and build that grip level, virtual as it may be, as the race goes on. So struggling on the opening lap. Our pole sitter is P5 at the end of lap 1 of 13. McDonald leads. Economos, who was so good in the opening 2 rounds of the championship, is 2nd, and Guy Barbera in 3rd place. Jake Burton up to 4th, aggressive opening lap. We saw him 2 and 3 wide heading through this section of the circuit on the opening lap. Gassardi back to 5th. The Kiwi Bishop in 6th place. Hasn't he been a consistent contender so far? Aidan Matthews 7th. Candon Olean's got ground. He's up to 8th. Stankowski 9th. Matt Allen rounds out the top 10.
You rolled through and you spoke about some of the results there from Simon Bishop. Funnily enough, he's the only driver across the whole field at the moment that's actually finished inside the top 5 in all races so far. But because the points are so heavily weighed towards winning, that's the reason why he's in position number 3. So when you get 25 points for a win, 20 for 2nd, and then you get 15 for 3rd, you can see what I mean, how the points are so important. And and so weighed heavily that you actually get a win in this competition. And that's why we see the likes of Keaton McDonald and Kenny Economos up towards the front, because they've got race wins underneath their back pocket.
Yeah, it's a championship that rewards success in getting to the front. And that's what makes the reverse grid race coming up a bit later on so important, because that's the X factor, isn't it? That's what can change the whole game, because the fast guys end up at the back of the field. The guys that have done all the winning have to get on the offense and pass cars and work their way forward. Speaking of passing, KO car looks down the inside at turn 2. Little bit of a hip and shoulder, but that's okay. Fair bump play on. The thing we've seen, Brian, here at Laguna Seca over the many, many years we've been enjoying motor racing from this amazing venue on the Monterey Peninsula, is that it's very, very difficult to overtake. It's fast, it's flowing, and really, aside from the corkscrew, which is a bold overtaking manoeuvre, as Alex Zanardi will attest to, that and turn 2, they're really the only key heavy stops on the circuit. The rest of it's about flow. So it makes overtaking very challenging. So you need to set the car in front up very early in a lap and try and do that full send down at turn 2, down the hill, braking and steering at the same time into the hairpin to get the car stopped and hopefully grab an overtake.
Looking at Camden Olian here ahead of Matthews. This is the battle for positions 7, 8 and 9. Throw in there Jono Stankowski as well. Good start from Stankowski. You said at the start there, Richard, watch out for him coming from the back. Well, he's already up to position number 9 as well, so really making some ground in the early portion of this race. Of course, we've got to make a compulsory pit stop in this race as well for tyres, and also, Phil, you mentioned at the start how the tyre wear has really been exacerbated for this race. Well, it's actually times 9 what it would normally be in a regular race, so you can get an understanding there as to how much tyre wear we're going to have. And considering we've got a 13-lap race, you could probably expect pit stops to happen around about the midway point, so maybe around lap 7. Let's listen into some of the radio chatter here during this race.
I reckon I can beat Twitchy, but at the moment I'm just happy to be in front of Fella. Those two are going to win the championship. I just need to try and see if I can get third.
There's a bit of an insight for you in who Jake Burton thinks is going to be the title contenders. A little bit of running commentary. I think we could just give him our gig, Brian, and let him call the motor race from the sim seat. He's doing a nice job, though, up in P4. A guy with a lot of real-world racing and driving experience. He's made a little bit of ground in this race. Just lacked that last few tenths in outright pace at Spa and Mount Panorama in the opening 2 rounds of the championship, but seems to be a little bit closer to the money here at Laguna. Admittedly, a shorter lap time, so the field does condense a little bit. It's the shortest lap we've seen so far, just over 70 seconds for pole position. This Porsche 911 GT3 RSR, car that races in the FIA World Endurance Championship and IMSA Sports Car Racing. Casati, the pole sitter, back to P5, but with a bit of a slide coming out of the final corner. So critical to get the power down, but still looking for a move down towards turn 2.
Come through, Sidle. There you go.
Again, he's doing our job for us, Wacker.
Above me at the apex, I'll help my pal out.
He's good on the old radio there, isn't he? Doing a great job. Yeah, it's fantastic. So, tell you what, he's got his hands full at the moment, though, doesn't he? Because he's got Bishop right behind him. Gossardi, a pole sitter, as well as we ride on board the Shannon's Insurance Porsche once again with Simon Bishop here. And he was close, wasn't he, coming out of that final turn? Trying to get the run down in turn 1 is going to be critical as well to get that pass done as we have a look at our race leaders once again. Keaton McDonald leading Kenny Economos at the moment. The way that it stands, we've got to say that McDonald would take away that championship lead by virtue of the 25 points at the moment. So obviously we've still got 3 races after this one to go and plenty of championship points up for grabs, but also you can just see a little slide there as well for Economos. So maybe trying to preserve that tyre life as we get close towards the end of this stint now is going to be key as well.
Economos is very aggressive getting the car into the corkscrew, the car perpetually sliding. There goes the leader. So he's decided to stop early, get that compulsory pit stop out the way and try and get some track position after it. Economos will run a little bit longer. His lap times will be slower, but he's got clear racetrack now. He's not bottled up behind that race leader. So this is a real good strategic opportunity, and we saw that in the first couple of rounds. Those taking a gamble often got some payoff. They roll the dice, the field's so tightly bunched, you get the undercut or the overcut, either or stop earlier or stop later. It can pay off for you. We've seen guys getting margin with the way they've managed their pit stop strategy. But of course, the problem for Keaton McDonald, stopping this early means you've got a longer run to the finish. So Kenny Economos, who's going to run later into the motor race before putting new tyres and fuel in his Porsche, he'll have fresher components to go to the end. So we should get a really tight battle between the two class drivers of the field so far.
How hard do you run early in the stint on these tyres? That is going to be critical now for Keaton McDonald. He's going to have plenty of clear space around him as well, which is critical. As we have a look at Burton here, continuing to fight now on the back of Bishop here as well. Looks like a little bit of a moment there for Barbera, in fact, in front of these cars as well. So we've got a four-way fight brewing here for position number 2. Barbera is all over the road here. Now, is this an opportunity for some to try and get the pit stop? In fact, it's all of them. So now they've all been bundled up behind Barbera, which is so unfortunate because that might have been the opportunity to possibly do something different and launch themselves into that second or third spot.
Yeah, if you were Jake Burton or Adrian Gassardi, surely you'd see the cars in front bailing off, 2 drivers left. Surely you'd stay out, try and go for the overcut, because they're all bottling each other up, stopping at the same time. So it's unfortunate that that's happened, that everyone's dived in at the same time, and those strategic variances we're looking for in the race sort of disappear.
Yeah, this is good. All way to behind us now, so I can use side on to save Fella and Twitch here behind it.
Once again, Jake Burton doing our job for us nicely. I think race 2, Brian, he just does the whole thing from the comfort of his chair, and we can just watch and enjoy this great motor racing. In answer to your question, how hard do you push out of pit lane? I think you have to go very, very hard. I would rather have track position here at Laguna Seca than have fresher tyres but be in second position. I think you need to be in the lead. It's easier to defend than it is to attack at this racetrack.
And this is what we're going to have play out right now, isn't it? We've got the guy in position number, what would theoretically now be position number 2 once all the pit stops work out, in being Kenny Economos, obviously stopping a lap later, seeing how hard he can push towards the end of this race, seeing if that 1 lap difference really does prove to be critical at the end of this race. Jono Stankowski is going to make his pit stop, you would say, in the not too distant future, and then the field will shuffle themselves out. How about Simon Bishop, still there in position number 3, continuing to work his way towards the front. It's a great battle so far. We're halfway through race 1 here at Laguna Seca. More in just a moment. We're into the closing stages of race number 1 at Laguna Seca, presented by Hi-Tech Oils. This is the Speed Week E-Series powered by Gran Turismo Sport and PS4. We've got a tremendous championship battle at the top of the moment between Keaton McDonald and Kenny Economos. Behind them, this scintillating battle for third between Simon Bishop, Jake Burton, Guy Barbera. Throw in your pole sitter, Adrian Gassardi, into that mix as well. And boy, who knows how this race is going to play out over the remaining few laps, Richard Craft.
Oh, how good's Laguna Seca, though? Classic old racetracks produce classic old motor races, don't they? And there's a really good little battle going on here. Guy Barbera's looking up the inside of Jake Burton. Adrian Gassardi is in the mix. Our pole sitter's going to try and send one up the inside. Difficult to do there because the left-hander going up the hill, yes, it's on camber, but it's a properly fast corner. He's tucked under the big Porsche rear wing, road kinks right, then plunges off the end of the earth, and it drops down 4 stories down the corkscrew. But again, unless you're Alex Zanardi in a circa 1996 Indy car, it's almost impossible to pass there. But Burton running very, very wide through the rainy curve and into the final corner. The fire-safe car is, if you pardon the pun, Brian, under massive heat at the moment, but he's holding on to track position.
It's exactly right. He's trying to put out the fire, isn't he, with those cars in behind as they work their way down the main straight as well. We're having a look at some of the drivers, and how's the socks once again? I know we mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, but you can never get old, those good socks. Now down the inside as Barbera forces his way underneath the inside of Burton there and gets the job done. Gassardi was trying to get the move done as well, but couldn't quite get the nose down the inside. In the meantime, Simon Bishop is pulling away from this battle as Burton is off the road once again.
Yeah, Bishop's been the big winner out of the pit stop sequence, hasn't he? He's jumped himself up into the top 3. Gassardi now looking to go around the outside of Jake Burton. Big move to pull this off if he can, or even come out the other side, pointing in the right direction. Burton is struggling though. He's under fire. He's struggling to keep the car in a straight line. It's his corner exits that are really killing him in this motor race. He can't get the car out of the slow speed stuff, so he's getting gobbled up at the other end of the straight. Through the corkscrew they go. It's a terrific battle. But what about Simon Bishop? He has been the big winner in this. He's got himself to 3rd place. This could be a really big haul of points for the Kiwi.
Yeah, you're not wrong, isn't it? Of course, this is off the back of his 4th place at Bathurst, a 2nd as well at race number 1 at Bathurst as well. So he's certainly getting those points in the back pocket. If you look further ahead as well, the battle is on for your race lead between Keaton McDonald and Kenny Economos. There's not much between the pair of them as well, but you don't know where to look at the moment because this battle for 4th on through is just tremendous as well, as Camden Olean isn't too far away in the mix as well in the KO Sport Porsche car. That's a brilliant battle at the moment with only 4 laps to go. Let's listen in again to some of the radio chatter.
It feels just so inconsistent on the race. Like sometimes into there I feel like I'm braking late and I make it, so other times I feel like I'm braking early and I
Burton, he's got 4 wheels just about off the road then as they work their way around the backside of the circuit. If anything, he's probably losing out at the moment, isn't he, Richard? Maybe the tire's just starting to go away because he's been caught in this battle pack. It's been fierce, and the more times you get caught in battle packs, the more that sends the heat through the tyres and therefore wears them out as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jake, commenting about the braking performance of other guys and being a little bit inconsistent, because I still think the FireSafe car's been battling with corner exits, and you can see the car switching there mid-corner at the corkscrew. So even Jake is struggling as well. So his commentary role's going along very nicely because he's throwing shade at everyone else except himself. I love it though. And see, very wide on corner exit. That's where he's been battling, and that might just open the door to Adrian Gassati for the run down the start-finish straight towards the Mario Andretti hairpin, which is turn 2. Up over the hill, leading battle closing in. High-Tech Oils car of Keaton McDonald, under pressure from the Tri-Ace car of Kenny Economos. And no, you're not back watching round 1 at Spa. It's round 3 at Laguna Seca, but it's the same battle. These two continue on with their incredible fight in the High-Tech Oils Speed Week E-Series.
It's great, isn't it? I'll tell you what, Simon Bishop is closing in this battle as well, so we could even have a 3-way fight here very shortly for position number 1. Now, Richard, where could possibly Keaton McDonald hold the spot, but more importantly, for Kenny Economos in second, where can he get it done? And I was going to say, where can he get it done? It might be half a chance here down the inside as well. He's got the car on the rear quarter of the race leader. This is tremendous battle now. He's going to have to be brave if he wants to go down the inside of the corkscrew. I don't know if he's going to do it. Is he going to be close enough? They're going to go side by side. Down the inside goes Kenny Economos. A change for the race lead. He gets the job done at a very risky point of the racetrack.
Great pass. I'll point out, before I said it was very, very hard to pass at the corkscrew, I never said it was impossible. That was a terrific move, but it was set up 4 corners back before they even started climbing the hill. Terrific drive out of the slow speed stuff for Kenny Economos, and just positioned the car perfectly to get the inside run. Great heads-up driving from the two of them though. No contact. They both ended up pointing in the right direction coming out of the corkscrew. Great bit of hard wheel-to-wheel motor racing. Well done, Keaton McDonald, but more so to Kenny Economos. So stopping later has paid off. We talked about the fact you'd rather have track position, and for a time it paid off, but that new tyre gain for Kenny Economos is really paying dividends, and I think Simon Bishop might be about to capitalise on that as well. He's in 3rd place. He's wearing the back of the High-Tech Porsche very, very closely, and in fact he's going to send it up the inside and he'll grab that spot away. So in the space of a lap, McDonald goes from 1st to 3rd, Bishop 2nd, Economos the leader. Cracking motor race though here at Laguna.
Certainly shakes up the championship points battle now as well, because it's another 5 points that Keaton McDonald has thrown away here, keeping in mind you get 25 for a win, 20 for second and 15 for third. So keeping in mind there was only 1 point separating both Kenny Economos and Keaton McDonald heading into this race. So when you factor in the pole position points, and then obviously as well the fastest lap points, which we'll get towards the end of this race, I tell you what, there's going to be a fair old difference now between first and second as we head towards the remaining 3 races, and that all-important reverse grid race as well here at Laguna Seca. You could see then Keaton McDonald sideways out of the final turn. The rear tyres at the moment on this car are really hurting badly, and Guy Barbera, when you think about it, maybe isn't too far away as we start the final lap.
Yeah, so the podium spots could still be up for grabs in this one as the fight continues a little bit further back. KO car around the outside of our pole sitter. Camden Olean goes through to 6th place. That's a good move. Gassati back to 7th. This race just hasn't played out the way he would have liked. He'll start mid-pack in the reverse grid race if he can bring it home here. So remember, these fast guys will be at the back for race 2. just to spice things up a little bit more, as if it needed more spice. This has been a very, very good motor race. But what a great drive from Kenny Connor-Moss. Well judged, good pit stop strategy, great pace, good overtaking, and he's just put all the elements together to deliver a really impressive drive here in race 1, round 3 at Laguna Seca. There's the Shannon's Insurance car. It's been a massive gain for Simon Bishop in this one, but he's going to run out of corners to catch Kenny Connor-Moss, who was so good at Spa-Francorchamps in the first round. He loves the historic circuits, Brian. It's been a terrific drive in race 1 at Laguna.
It certainly has. He rounds the final turn down the main straight. This will go with his race 1 win at Spa. Kenny Connor-Moss gets the championship points, gets race 1 win at Laguna Seca, and more importantly also gets the fastest lap point as well. So 26 points in the back pocket for race number 1. He's going to have his work cut out though to start the next race from last on the grid. So it's going to be a tremendous battle as we work our way towards the championship finale. But I tell you what, those 26 points are going to be ever so crucial.
Well, you had some taste there, Simon. Where'd you come from?
Yeah, if only I could start somewhere above the 4th row of the grid, eh?
Oh, jeez.
You somehow jumped me in the pits as well to put less fuel in. So.
Yeah, well, Jake's car drove through me on the pit exit. I was real pleased about that.
Yeah. It's a bit weird because that pit exit, if you slow down enough, the car starts you in first gear, but you start in second gear if you're normal, and it just bogs down. Yeah, so you gotta like change back down to first gear, and then sometimes it goes to first gear randomly. So yeah, very odd.
Yeah, it's like luck of the draw, eh? But no, it was a good race.
It was a cracking motor race. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Well done, Kenny Connor-Moss, the winner again. Simon Bishop up to P2. Like he said, I wonder what happens if he can qualify well. Keita McDonald third, Barbera Burton fifth. Solid drive with lots of commentary. Candinoli in P6. Dean Allen over the page. Solid drive to 8th place. Stankowski and Matthews rounding out the top 10. Cracking race. Kenny Connor-Moss, though, the winner again.
Kenny Connor-Moss, congratulations. I might as well keep you on the line all the time. You are our race 1 winner.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, it was a really good race, actually. Keaton's really quick. It was just about managing the tyres a bit. I was surprised, actually, that he pitted a lap earlier. As soon as he did that, I kind of thought that I had a pretty good chance, just with tyres being a bit stronger at the end of the stint. So, yeah, very happy with that. Looking forward to the next one.
And you're increasing that championship lead. How is that playing into the nerves heading into the reverse grid?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm trying not to think about it too much. The ultimate goal for today is just to have fun and walk away with no regrets and not ruin anyone else's race or day. So, yeah.
Thanks so much, Kenny. All the best of luck.
Thanks, Charlie.
And now we're going to cross to Simon Bishop, who is closing in on those championship points. Simon, you're being consistent and having some great results. How are you feeling about it?
Hey, Charlie. I'm pretty happy. It's pretty good to add some Kiwi flavour to the series, for sure. I'm getting a bit sick of looking at the back of Kenny's car, not going to lie. But going forward, hopefully I can qualify a little bit better. I started so far back in that one, it made it quite tough, particularly when I just fell short with Kenny at the end. But it was great to watch him and Keaton battle. So hopefully in the reverse grid race, I will have Kenny look into the back of my car for once.
Sounds good. We love having you all the way from New Zealand. All the best of luck in the second race.
Thanks a lot, Charlie.
So Adrian Hamilton there will start this race from position number 1. Connor Healy alongside him. Liam Tame, Matthew Allen for position number 4. Watch out for Jono Stankowski as well. Position number 6, around about that half grid mark, I guess you would say, where we turn over the page. Richard Craill, and we see our heavy hitters coming towards the back.
Yeah, Simon Bishop and Kenny Connor-Moss off the back row of the 14-car field, and we've talked about overtaking at Laguna Seca. I wonder if this is a race where we see some real left-of-field pit stop strategies, perhaps. Dive in early, get track position, and get clear racetrack, so on new tyres you can blaze around. When everyone stops, you end up with decent track position. But as we saw in race 1, Brian, that doesn't often work because there were cars left as sitting ducks on older rubber at the end of the race, and that was what allowed Kenny Connor-Moss to mow down the race leader and grab the win in race 1. Away we go at Laguna Seca. Race 2 reverse grid. Adrian Casati right in the mix. He's in the middle of the field like he was in race 1. Healy and Holton fighting for the lead down at the Mario Andretti hairpin. They're side by side. I think Healy's going to come out in front of that, though, in the Hi-Tech Oils Batteries car. Sadi has had a terrible opening lap. He's already jumped down to the back of the field. He's in 13th place. The only guy behind him is Kenny Konomos, but that's not even the case anymore. It's been a terrible start for our pole sitter of the weekend. He's dropped right to the back of the field. But the Hi-Tech Oils, the Hi-Tech Batteries car leads them up the hill for the first time.
Yeah, wild start there, wasn't it, with cars going off the road. Barbera was one of those winners as well. He's up to position number 11 in these early stages. We're right on board now with Jake Burton. He might be half a chance to get one, possibly two spots here as they head up the hill, looking in towards the corkscrew section of the racetrack. Down the inside, Burton does get two spots, does he? They come out the other side, he doesn't.
Yes.
I don't know how he pulled that off. I thought the other car was going to fly back into his door, but he got away with it. And now there's more contact as well as they come through Rainy Curve. One car off the edge of the racetrack. What a wild start to this reverse grid race.
Yeah, terrific stuff, and one off in the boonies down there at the penultimate corner as well. He's gone right off the back. I think it might have been Aidan Matthews who started towards the front of this. Great move, Jake Burton. How's the commitment to get that thing stopped? And a little bit of pinball, perhaps, using some other cars as braking markers, but that's all right. They all stayed on the black stuff and continued on. So, good stuff. Connor Healy leads the way. Matthew Allen in second. Jake Burton up to third now. Adrian Holton to fourth. And Jono Stankowski, who's a bit of a first lap wizard, Brian, who's made up ground in both races. He's P5. So let's watch Jono as this race progresses and see what kind of ground he can make up. But Burton looking dangerous at the moment and catching the race leaders.
Back on board here with Matthew Allen in the Fanatec Porsche as he makes his way up the hill as well towards the corkscrew. I reckon Bishop and Barbera have been the biggest movers on that opening lap. Bishop up to position number 8, Barbera sitting in 9th as well. So it's going to be interesting if they stick towards around that lap 6 mark, I guess you would say, for the compulsory pit stop in this race. Cantinolian back there in position number 10, as well as Allen still searching here for the race leaders. They're about to complete lap 2 of 13.
I'm wondering if someone rolls the dice and goes much longer. So lap 7, maybe lap 8. We saw the gain that Kenny Konomos had for stopping a lap later than Keenan McDonald in race 1. So maybe 2 laps later in this race gives you even better new tyre gain at the end. And of course, Simon Bishop, who stopped later than anybody else, was the fastest guy on the racetrack towards the end, was mowing down the race leader. So all of these drivers will be aware of that. They'll have it in the back of their mind. But it just depends on their position on the racetrack, track position, and what they're sort of playing with the strategic game in the back of their mind relative to who's around them as to when they dive into pit lane. But it's a cool element. Stankowski, though, off the road. We gave him a big rev up before about being so good on the opening lap, but he's dropped it wide. He's got a fistful of opposite lock. He's dropped a fistful of positions.
Not happy as well. You can see him on the right-hand side of your screen as he drops towards the rear of the field now as well. So disappointment there for Stankowski in the early stages of this reverse grid race. The interesting thing, I know we made mention of it in the previous race, but the points for these reverse grid races, they're exactly the same as what they are for a normal race. So normally, sometimes in motorsport, you might see half points for a reverse grid race, but not the case here. It's straight out 25 points for a race win, and that's why these races are so vital as to how the overall championship looks at the end of the 4 rounds.
Well, these two inseparable. Again, Keenan McDonald following Kenny Konomos. The battle continues. In race 1, it was for the lead. In race 2, it's for 10th and 11th position. But it doesn't matter. They're still inseparable. And of course, while they're inseparable, they're not pulling a championship margin, are they? Their points are very, very similar. As McDonald sends it round the outside at turn 2, that's a potentially big move. But Konomos will be up to that. The Tri-Ace car will hold on for another couple of corners. This is a remarkably intense battle between these two. And it was from qualifying 1, the first round of the series, wasn't it, Brian, that they were locked together. They were separated by hundredths of a second, and they've just been locked together since that first lap of the opening race of the E-Series. And here we are, 5 races in, halfway through the championship proper, and they're still locked together, still dicing in the reverse grid race. It's awesome stuff to see, thoroughly enjoyable, and the quality of the competition speaks volumes. And also that these two are finding it difficult to pass cars. They're finding it difficult to carve their way through the field. So even though they've been dominating, as Konomos sends it at the corkscrew, and that's going to cost him a position, McDonald's going to go through in the high-tech car and grabs a spot. So an error from the championship leader there opened the door. But to finish my point, it shows you how good the field is. The two dominant guys haven't been able to carve their way through the field in the reverse grid races, and that shows you how competitive the whole field broadly is.
And we saw a few cases, particularly at Spa, that if someone made a small mistake, just stepped wide for a moment, they lost sometimes 4 up to 5 positions because the train is so close towards each other. So that's so critical, isn't it, that if you make one tiny error in a field that, as you mentioned, is so competitive, it can cost you so many positions. And it's great to see these drivers. They are the best in Australia. And I mean, you look at some of these drivers, they've gone overseas, for instance, over the last couple of years, can't do it this year, of course, to compete in some of the world's greatest e-sport competitions. And that's why we're seeing these drivers really rising to the level here, rising to the occasion, and really putting their best foot forward, I guess you would say, in what is Australia's best sim races here in front of us.
Now, Matthew Allen's got a decision to make here. He's bottled in behind Connor Healy, the race leader. It's lap 5. I would say the pit stop window is firmly open now. So does he and Jake Burton, who's caught these two leaders as well, do you dive into pit lane now? Or if you see the high-tech batteries car peel off, you stay out. Surely you go whatever the opposite of the car in front is doing to try and give yourself that strategic advantage. But they're losing track position now, so they've got to start thinking about diving into pit lane. Shannon's car under pressure from Thrustmaster, who gets forced out wide. Big moment at the final corner, and perhaps even more issues there. We had to let the Shannon's car go through. So these were guys running at the front the opening few laps of the race, and they've had a big Barney down at the final corner. Allen now, no Barney's here, gets down the inside of the high-tech car. So this is the fight for the race lead, and this will dictate how strategy plays out. Healy holds on. Burton's going to try and open the door as well. Does he get to the inside? Not quite. Allen's holding on the outside, and he's got the correct side of the road for the next corner, but it's just given a bit of breathing room to the race leader, who's gapped these now by 5 or 6 car lengths in the last couple of corners.
It's murdering Burton, isn't it? And that whole idea that you mentioned a moment ago, Richard, about when you make your pit stop, well, considering he's stuck in this battle right now, it was probably almost worth pitting a lap ago as he looks towards the inside now of Allen, heading up towards the corkscrew here once again, gets the job done before he even gets there. I reckon what we saw a moment ago between Bishop and Halton, the contact there at the final turn, I reckon Halton was readdressing, knowing that he made contact with Bishop to let him get away once again, but disappointment there for Bishop. That's cost him a lot of spots in this race as well.
Yep, agree with that assessment, absolutely. Leader pits, second pits, third place pits. So for all of that dicing, they're all running the same pit stop strategy. They all blaze into pit lane at the same time. I could have been certain that one would roll the dice and do something different, because that's the best opportunity in races this close to try and gain that advantage. Regardless, they clearly all had a plan to pit at the end of lap 6, so that's what they've done. They've all dived into pit lane. Hyperdrive car in as well. Brand new Michelin tyres going on the Porsche 911 RSR. Shannon's car in the lane as well. This is a crucial time in the motor race. We wait and see who comes out in front. I think a good portion of the field has dived in at this point.
I think you're about right. In fact, look at the trainers. They all come out of the first couple of corners there and back onto the racetrack. So pretty well the whole field has taken the opportunity there to pit around the half-race distance mark. And our leaders now at the moment, Allen from Healy, Burton, position number 3, will wait for the field to shuffle themselves out. Keane McDonald and Kenny Conover still locked in combat. Positions 8 and 9 as we ride on board with Burton once again.
Yeah, no surprise there. Burton heading up to his favourite bit of road where he's been making all the moves in this one. After I said that it couldn't be done, he made it so with a nice pass at the corkscrew to grab a position a couple of laps ago. So this battle now, as we're past the halfway point in this second race at Laguna Seca. Amazing bit of road this is. For so many years, it's been the home of IndyCar racing in California outside of Long Beach. Lots of great sports car races at this venue over the years. It's hosted MotoGP. There's been Formula One cars blazing around. In fact, a Toyota Formula One car holds the outright lap record at this place, which was set at the Monterey Historic Festival a couple of years ago after Toyota pulled out of Formula One. It's been a great IndyCar testing venue. We hope to see it back on that schedule in 2021. Terrific racetrack epitomised, of course, by the iconic corkscrew. Iconic Racetrack's the name of the game here in the Hi-Tech Oils Speed Week E-Series. We're halfway through race 2. Back with the conclusion after this.
It's the reverse grid race at Laguna Seca for round 3 of the Hi-Tech Oils Speed Week E-Series, powered by Gran Turismo Sport and PS4. And the battle for position number 1 is brilliant, to say the least. Allen, Healy and Burton, 1, 2 and 3 on the road, as you can see them at the moment. Richard Kral, we go further through the field. Keaton McDonald, Kenny Conamos still battling for those championship positions in 8 and 9.
Yeah, no shock that they're still running line astern in this race, as they have done the entire E-Series. I tell you what, for mine, Jake Burton, MVP so far in this race. He's been providing us with some very entertaining commentary from the driver's seat, but he's been driving very, very well. And he's caught the 2 leaders, Allen and Healy, and a little bit of a bump, a little bit of a cold trickle hello, remember me, to the back of the Hi-Tech Batteries car in second place. Lap time running out, Burton looking strong. Allen with just a critical car length or 2 in front though, out in front. We're on board, having a look at this great battle down towards turn 2. Hit the braking marker at about 120 metres there. Understeer from the Hi-Tech Batteries car. It's a funny corner, double apex, turn 2, so you can run a little bit wide and then tuck it tighter for the second part, but compromises your exit for the run out towards turn 3 and then turn 4. And the thing with Laguna, real world or otherwise, is you want to keep the thing on the curbs and on the black stuff. Very dirty, dusty, offline here in the Monterey Hills. We're not far from the beach, but it's always very sandy, very dusty. Replicated so well in the GT environment. Burton has great car speed. This is his favourite part of the road. Hi-Tech car runs wide. We go back a little bit. Hip and shoulder PlayStation Mobile. 3 wide. Oh, they're hip and shouldering up the hill to the corkscrew. How good's this fight for the midfield?
It's crazy, isn't it? And how they got away with it, you'll never know. As Conamos looks towards the inside as well and gets another spot. So a good position made there for Kenny Conamos, up to position number 8. Gossardi back there in 9th as well. So they're fighting all the way through this race at the moment in this reverse grid. It's fascinating to watch.
I'm on the outside again. Sake. Unbelievable.
Well, Jake Burton's not happy. He pulled a great move off into the final corner, dicing with Connor Healy. He was through. He wasn't happy though with Healy. Talking about him being on the outside again. So displeased, Jake Burton, with that little bit of racecraft, I think, from the Hi-Tech car. But he was second for about 500 metres. It was a drag race in the end. Didn't get a good run out of the final corner. And now trying to force his way past again. And that's just given a bit more breathing room to Matthew Allen. Does he go? You bet he does. There's a little bit of a love tap, just a reminder to Connor Healy that Jake Burton's coming through. Is he finally clear? Has he finally got second place? It sure looks that way.
You knew that was coming, wasn't it? It had that feeling to it, a little bit of stick and niggle as they worked their way towards the end of this reverse grid race. But Burton now up to position number 2. If anything, he probably lost out during that whole pit stop sequence. Obviously came in second, now out in position number 3, but now back up into that second spot, as well as Dean Allen continues to work away now in position number 3. So the question now looms, has Burton got enough pace to try and catch the race leader out in front? Has he got enough tyre life to do the job as well?
Well, I think the couple of laps he spent bottled up behind Connor Healy may have cost him the shot at victory, because he's running out of time to catch Matthew Allen, who's been doing a super job out in front. Right, back to the old cliche battle that's been going on since round 1. They're now 6th and 7th, so they're continuing to work their way up the leaderboard, and it's Keaton McDonald in front of Kenny Conamos. 6th v7 Conamos, and just in behind them is Guy Barbera in 8th place in the Porsche Centre entry, that iconic Works livery. Terrific looking race car that it is. Adrian Gossardi just in behind Barbera, and Liam Tame rounding out the top 10 positions. So Candinoli and KO Sports entry is a little bit further up the road. Can these two get themselves into the top 5 again? But they continue to score points, but they continue to take championship points off each other. So this title fight is just going to continue to be a game of inches, a game of 1 point here, 1 point there. The fastest laps and the pole positions will be absolutely critical to decide this fight when we get to the final round at the Nürburgring, which will be a really interesting place to decide this championship.
I feel like they're being very conservative as well and respectful of each other and not going for major moves that could possibly cost them later on in the race as well. They understand the championship battles they're in at the moment. But when you speak of those championship points, we're talking positions 6 and 7. There's only 1 point difference between finishing 6th and 7th. So where Keaton is at the moment, that pays 9 points. Where Economos is at the moment, that pays 8 points. So is the risk versus reward factor there in order to go for that extra spot?
Yep, I would agree with that, and that's probably why they're playing it so conservative. Change of position, Dean Allen gets himself onto the podium. The Hi-Tech Batteries car drops a spot and goes back to 4th place. So Tyre Life perhaps playing a role as we get to the business end of proceedings here, and now the KO Sports car of Cannondolian is closing in, and those two title contenders following with it. So all of a sudden top 5 certainly on the cards, but could be even better than that. Jump on board with Connor Healy. That's Dean Allen in front, and a big slide through the left-hand kink. Will try to cover his racing line up here, using all of that curb on the inside. Run up towards the corkscrew. There's the championship contenders. There's a moment in the background. Guy Barbera had the big tank slapper coming out of the corkscrew, plunging down 3 stories. Will do that to anybody. But look at these two, Brian. Look how close they've got to this leading group. Top 4, not out of the question. Top 3, still a potential if things go awry in this final lap.
It's great to watch, isn't it? So as you mentioned, 1 more lap to go now as the leaders cross the start-finish line. We have a look at Kenny Economos here, working his way back down the main straight here. Is he half a chance to get the move done this time by? He's maybe a little bit too far back. In front, though, they're going side by side. Now, if these two in front of our championship contenders get into contact, what will this do for the championship? Here comes Economos now down the inside. Valuable extra point here if he can get the job done. Looks like he was on the inside there. So Economos now an extra point in his back pocket.
Yeah, big move in the context of the championship. That could be critical when we get to the final round. And now he's going to go for 1 more position on Cannondoli and sticks the nose up the inside. Got to play the game of percentages here. Don't want to chuck it off into the undergrowth and cost yourself a top 5 finish potentially. 6th place to be better than a DNF from a championship perspective. But he's so controlled and so calm, Kenny Economos, that he might well just back himself to have a go. And in fact, he does that down the inside. There's a little bit of contact with the KO car. Has a massive slide. It's the fight for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and probably 10th as well. What a battle. Out in front, though, Jake Burton has hunted down Matthew Allen, but I think he's going to run out of time to challenge for the race win. The Fanatec car will get there. What a great drive in the reverse grid race at Laguna Seca. Burton chased all the way on, spinning off to the Hi-Tech car. That's a big moment. Keaton McDonald drops a bunch of spots on the final lap. And for the first time all day, the title contenders are separated now by a big margin. That's critical stuff on the final lap here at Laguna.
Thank you.
Wow, remarkable. Remarkable, Richard. Matthew Allen, though, throughout it all, gets his 2nd race win of the season. He's becoming the reverse grid king, I guess you would say, because he got the job done at Bathurst as well. Burton home in 2nd, almost got the race win. And then we flip over the page. Keaton McDonald down there in position number 12. Oh, what could have been. Charlie Bullis is catching up, though, with our race winner.
We are here with the race 2 winner, Matt Allen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it seems to be that reverse grids are a little bit of your specialty.
Yeah, I mean, I did get a good starting position in both of those last 2 reverse grid races, which unfortunately means that the first race hasn't gone so well, but was able to capitalise and had a great battle with Connor and Jake in that race.
And this is your first live event. How are you enjoying being part of this series?
It's great. Like, obviously, it's my first live event. I would like to do more of them. So yeah, this is a great experience.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, and we can't wait to see you in round 4.
Thank you.
And now we're going to speak to our second place in race 2, Jake Burton. Congratulations, number 2 in race 2. It's a fantastic result for you, and you're coming to us from Victoria.
Yeah, that's it. Moved here recently, but still a proud West Aussie at heart. And honestly pretty surprised that ironically enough, the fire-safe Australia-New Zealand Porsche was so fast. It was absolutely on fire in that race at Laguna there. I wasn't really expecting it would be that quick, but we managed to negotiate the traffic quite well on lap 1, and then obviously we had to get by Connor. We had to be pretty assertive there because I knew we had the speed to get to the front. So we took a few risks, but still happy with P2, and congratulations to Matthew for another win.
Well, congratulations, Jake. We're loving having you.
Thanks, Charlie.
And third in race 2 was Dean Allen, and we've got him on the line. Dean, congratulations. A great result in a really tough race.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, the car really wasn't up to pace with some of these other guys on the track. They're just too quick for me, but I was able to stay consistent, stay out of trouble, and get the results where it counted.
Oh, well, congratulations, Dean. We're loving having you, and all the best for the next round.
Thank you.
So championship points now heading into the final round. Kenny Economos, 100 points. Keaton McDonald, he lost 4 championship points in that final lap skirmish. He's second on 82 points. Simon Bishop, how ever impressive has he been this season? He's third with 80 points as we flip over the page. Guy Barbera with 57. Paul Candelonian in 9th with 48 championship points, and Aidan Hamilton towards the back with 14. A brilliant round of competition, Richard. We had every single battle possible, particularly for our championship leaders.
Yeah, and I don't think it's over yet, Brian, as well. There's still so much to play out in this title fight between Kenny Economos and Keaton McDonald. And the place we do it will be the Nürburgring. There's celebrations here at Laguna Seca after an amazing round of racing, but the best thing is there's still one more to go. Charlie?
Well, Laguna Seca certainly challenged our drivers, and it delivered the fast-paced racing that we are after. And Kenny Economos has extended his championship lead by 18 points. Can he hold on to it? Because it is all on the line as we head to Germany for round 4 at the Nürburgring. Let's see what happens.